All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to the Joe Kilgallon podcast, aka Kilgallon's Pub. I need to apologize to all the longtime listeners. We have been off for about 2 or 3 weeks now. I did a little tribute to Chadwick Boseman last week. R.I.P. the great Black Panther actor, also from 42 and other great movies. I'm smiling right now because I could see my guest in my little window here. You guys can't see him yet, and he was already laughing at my fuck up. I knew I was going to. This guy's great. You're going to love the guest. This is the first time he's been on the podcast one-on-one. Longtime listeners will remember his voice because he was the producer of this great podcast. He is the founder and CEO of the People of Comedy Podcast Network. The man is a Renaissance man. He's a master of a lot of things. He's a great graphic designer, an amazing sound audio engineer, whatever word you want to use there, director, filmographer. He's got a lot of slashes in his title, and I'm happy to have him on the podcast yet again. Everyone, welcome to the Joe Kilgallon podcast, the one, the only James Webb. What is up, dude?
Hey, Joey, how are you, buddy?
How are you, man? Good. I like how I told you I was going to fuck something up, and usually the guests laugh when I do, and then I see you giggling in the little video thing here that the listeners can't see, or the people watching.
Can't be perfect, you know?
No, it happens.
It happens.
I'm excited for this one because you are almost like a de facto sidekick on many of the podcasts on the People of Comedy Network, like a young Jamie. I know it's not your intent in a lot of ways, but you're a good ear. You know a lot of things. I've always said James Webb is a fun guy to talk to because you have knowledge about, a lot of different subject matter. You'd be a great bartender in that sense.
You can think of. Just any question, I can answer it for you, no matter how meaningless.
Yeah, but meaningless shit is what makes the world go round. That's what the fun stuff is, that's right?
True. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Let me just lead off, though, also, everyone. I want to show this off real quick, if I may. I've got a Galway Bay Pub beer glass.
Oh, shout
everyone.
out Nolan.
Shout out to Nolan, the co-owner. I think I said just the owner once, and someone's like, he's got a partner. He's got a lot of partners, that guy. Not messing around. The Galway Bay, more stagger than swagger, everyone. I'll find out the website and I'll post that like in the YouTube description. It's a great bar, and a lot of the merch they're selling is to help the staff because during these times, unfortunately, it's hurting a lot of small businesses. So I recommend people support your local businesses. Fuck these chains; they're fine. Yeah. A lot of these chains probably have like pandemic insurance if something goes wrong. So don't worry about them. Stick to the places you like. Help them through this mess. And on the back of it, here's what I love about Galway Bay Pub. I posted this on Instagram, so if you guys follow me there, you've seen this. On the back, it says, "We will be back worse than ever." I'll show you guys right there. You see that in the video? We will be back worse than ever. This is a bar that is honest. It's the most honest pub on the planet. And let me take a sip of this beer right here. It's a nice lager.
I remember
delicious.
Very clearly an episode of your show being streamed there. Was one of the most trying days, I guess, of my career. We could call it that.
Dude, oh man. Okay, so we did a St. Patrick's Day 2018.
Yeah.
Or was it 2019? One or the other.
I think it was,
2019, I believe. It was live at Galway Bay Pub. And it was also kind of like the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was, at one point,
dude.
It was bad. It was a 3-hour podcast, 3.5-hour podcast. We started doing it like 10 in the morning on St. Patrick's Day. And I, at one point, disappeared for like 45 minutes from my own podcast.
Oh, yeah, dude. Thanks for that, by the way. Fucking Nolan, who is like, it's got to be hard enough for him to get drunk. He was already more drunk than I've ever seen any person. Just sitting there, like, pulling in random people who didn't want to talk to him, who were just trying to drink at the bar while you were gone. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck, bro? Can I swear on this podcast? Did you sponsor?
No, of course you could fucking swear on this podcast.
That fucking cunt is just pulling assholes everywhere that he can find them in to talk to him, and they clearly don't want to be there. It was the worst 3 hours, but I think it was an entertaining show.
I still have those 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I've been meaning to like really dig in there because I know there's some gems. There's the one gem I found, which I've referenced on this podcast before, everyone. So sorry if you're a longtime listener and this is redundant to you, but too bad. Jonah Jerkins, who's a great comedian, everyone, a producer of Comedians You Should Know here in Chicago. He tragically, both of his parents are dead. And he murdered them. No, he didn't do that. Heroin did. But why am I trying to be funny right now? This is like a sensitive topic. And this is just, I get uncomfortable, so I have to make jokes. he's telling like the story about like how he watched his parents do heroin when he was like 5 or something, and as he's telling the story, the camera, you James, because you were running the camera, we had a multi-cam setup going with like 3 cameras. You cut to me and Joe Fernandez, who were not listening to him at all. He's pouring his heart out, like telling some really deep shit, and I'm like pushing Fernandez, like, yeah, I fucking laughing. You know, I'm wearing like green everything, green sweatpants, just look like the biggest lush in the world. And then it cuts back to Nolan, and Nolan looks at us and goes, "Hey, shut the fuck up. His fucking dad died. It's fucking not my fucking dad's. My dad's here. Dad, are you here?" You know, he's like, yelling. And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, your dad died." And he's like, "Yeah." And then it cuts back to Nolan. He's now on his cell phone, and I'm like, "Well, how'd he die?" Or like, "What happened?" And then it cuts back to me, and I start turning my cell phone off. It's just hilarious that like he's poured his heart out, and immediately everyone starts taking their phone out and doesn't listen.
Well, and you, the host of your own podcast, had to be corralled by the drunkest guy at the bar to like pay attention to your guests. That was special for me.
I think I'd get up because, you know, we were drinking heavily. We took care of that bottle of Patty's Irish Whiskey, which is my favorite Irish whiskey, everybody. If you want to be a friend of the podcast, send me a bottle of Patty's Irish Whiskey. I got a couple bottles behind me over here, I think, or over here. I'm not a good weather person. Over my shoulder, that was like Jameson and McGregor's whiskey, which is just, but again, sponsorship, bring it on. I would go to take a piss at the bar, right? And on my way back or my way there, I'd run into people, or I was just talking to everyone. And before I know it, people were like, "Hey, aren't you with the people up there doing the podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, I should go check it out."
Pretty sure I ran into you like in the bathroom just talking to people. Like, what? How are we both not here right now, bro? Like, go do your own fucking show, please.
Dude,
it was a fun day. It was really fun.
It was a super fun day.
It was still a blast, dude. I love Nolan. I love Galway Bay. Please go to Galway Bay when they open back up. Are they open right now? Like even a little
They are. They are, because they serve frozen pizza. So that's their technical way around it.
Holy shit.
As long as if you serve food, so this is a really stupid thing that we could talk about right now.
Yeah, what counts as food?
It's so dumb. For those of you listening around the world or around America, I don't know what it's like where you are, but in Chicago, for some reason, if you're a bar or pub that just serves alcohol, which I think is technically like a tavern or something, I don't know, they would shut you down. And they were only because, you know, the cases of coronavirus cases started to spike up like a little bit, but I think overall Chicago and Illinois are pretty good. We're plateauing, as they say. And if you serve food, though, you were allowed to stay open, because I think there was something where it's like food's an essential, so you have to stay open. But if you're just going there to get drunk, no dice, we got to close you up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of dumb in a way, because, again, you don't need to go to a bar to get food. You need to just go to a grocery store, obviously. Right. So, I don't know. It just seemed like a really stupid politician move. Yeah. And luckily, Galway Bay, a bar that so many comedians in Chicago adore, was able to stay open because they serve up some mean Jack's Pizza or whatever, or Tombstone. I don't know what brand of frozen pizza it is.
Ran across the street, the Walgreens to buy real quick.
Yeah, 7-Eleven. I don't know. They got free popcorn there too, everybody. You got to get on that.
Does that not count enough? Is popcorn not enough?
I don't think, because they don't sell it, so I don't think it counts.
I need to know who to vote for, who draws these lines.
Dude, I think by rule, wherever you are, who's ever currently in charge, vote for the opposite. I think that's a decent rule across the board right now. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who don't like the governor of Illinois, but the governor of Illinois in the past year has done a better job than most governors in regards to coronavirus, and he legalized weed and sports gambling. So, you know,
what more can you ask for, dude?
That's pretty good.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
Our mayor, I think, is pretty crazy. Now, we'll talk about what you've been doing. You've been covering a lot of the protests on the streets and everything. We'll get to that in a little bit. But like the mayor of Chicago, I don't know anybody who likes her, really. Maybe a couple people, but pretty much everyone I know, like on the left hates her. Yeah. Everyone I know on the right, like anyone on the right, essentially can't stand her. Maybe there's a couple moderate here or there who are just like, I don't really care. But
if you know someone who's like excited to vote for Joe Biden, they like Lori Lightfoot. That's like the only person on earth who likes Lori Lightfoot. Everyone else, right or left of that, is like, no thanks, dude. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's probably pretty close. I know so many people who are voting for Biden, and a lot of the polls are showing that, but who knows with polls. But I definitely think it's people aren't excited about it, though. People are like, yeah, fine, better than that piece of shit. But yeah, fine. Like, that's the mentality you have. It's like, do you want to eat a sandwich that's been pissed on or shit on?
Yeah.
I think the piss one I'd take.
Or just not eat at all. But you can't not eat.
You can't not eat. That's the problem when you have two choices.
Not now, dude. You can't fucking not eat this time.
I think we're always going to be a two-choice country, sadly. It's just there's better systems.
You don't think this one will like upend that maybe even a little bit? Like people will go, okay, like even let's say Biden wins, right? There's still going to be like so many people just furious with Biden winning, even the people who voted for him. And like, what do you think's going to happen next? We're just going to let Joe Biden get another term or vote for a Republican? Like, there's got to be after this some kind of pathway towards another option for the next time. I think, you know, I guess I'm being optimistic, but like, I really think this, no matter what happens, there will be a path towards a new party, green or, you know, libertarian, whatever the fuck. Progressive, hopefully, whatever it is. Like I see another pathway opening because like the people younger than me and you, like the 18 to 22, you know, 28, 30-year-olds, those people, like they don't want any of this. And even as they get older, I don't see their ideas changing at all. So like they're going to have to force some kind of new, there's more of them. So they're going to take over and force some kind of new pathway forward. That's not Democrat or Republican. I hope, I pray. And I really do think is going to happen.
I would love that. I would love that. I hope you're right. I like your optimism. I think I started reading too much history at the beginning of quarantine where I'm like, oh, you know how everyone hates baby boomers now? Yeah. Baby boomers were like the young people who were going to change the world. They fell short and then became
whatever.
Yeah, they became sellouts. They fell short of that and became sellouts. So like when everyone's like, oh, look at Generation Z, whatever the fuck they're calling 22-year-olds now, because 22-year-olds aren't millennials. They're younger than that.
Yeah, they're Zoomers.
Zoomers, whatever the fuck. That's a stupid term. But whatever it is, they're like, look at them. They're changing the world. I'm like, that's what they said about 22-year-olds in 1968, and now you all fucking hate them. So who knows? If you're going to be the optimistic one, I'll be pessimistic, I guess, even though I don't prefer it. I'd rather be optimistic. Will I see another party emerge? I hope so, because I think you need more choices. I like ranked choice voting and all sorts of other stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
I think
got it down, dude. Canada fucking knows how to do
and
it.
Canada did a good job with stuff like that. I think America was that person who had a bunch of great ideas early in the school year and then kind of coasted on them. Meaning a lot of the stuff we do that, you know, obviously besides slavery and genocide, but that was the whole world then. That was a lot of the world. But I mean, like our ideas with voting and democracy and pushing that, yeah, those were great calls early on, but I think we could have expanded on them. And then the problem with us is whenever someone goes, hey, you know that thing we do? It's good, but how about we do this? Yeah. There's always someone going, nah, it's fine the way it is. Don't even fucking bother. Where it's like, no, we can make it better. You know what I mean? I don't need sugar on my cereal, but a little bit helps. Like you could add to stuff and make things better or expand, or if it's not working, tell it to fuck off. Some more of that would be nice, but I do like your optimism. I just think if you're a Republican listening right now, you should almost want Biden to win because
Biden's a Republican. There's like no doubt about that. Biden's a fucking Republican.
No, he's not, by the way.
He's a classic in my view.
How is he a classic Republican?
He made a cop as vice president, dude. How much more Republican can you get, bro?
By the way, you know the average person.
A safe Republican choice. If you are a Republican, please vote for Joe Biden.
Black woman is a safe choice in American politics.
A black woman cop? What's more attractive than that? Come on.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's very sexy, but you act like a safe choice would have been like a white middle, you know, a 45-year-old white guy from Pete Buttigieg or whatever the fuck, like, or Beto in Texas. You know what I mean? There was some risk. Don't act like there's not a risk to adding Kamala Harris to your ticket. I mean, it's so funny because everyone I know, like, Republicans think Biden's going to bring socialism to America, and Democrats are like, he's right wing. He's a Republican. He's more Republican than Trump.
Trump's like, this is the far left ticket. What are you talking about, dude?
I know, but then you're saying he's a Republican, which also isn't true. So both sides are so full of shit right now. It's the funniest time to be following politics. It's fucked up and sad, but funny in the sense that it's crazy. It's crazy. No, let me just add at this point though. I think, like, if you're a so-called non-racist Republican, I know, hear me out. Like a normal Republican who's like, hey, I just want low taxes.
If you're my dad.
Because I do know some Republicans who are like, oh man, it's every time he opens his mouth, it fucking embarrasses me. He's such a dipshit in regards to Trump, right? So you should almost want Biden to win, because then 4 years from now in 2024, you'll have your shot to take back the White House, and you could do it with someone who's not a fucking huge piece of shit like Donald Trump. Yeah. So, but if Trump wins, the country it'll clinch a 2024 Democrat, because it's kind of been that way. 8 years, we flip flop, all that kind of stuff. And then, who knows how bad it'll be? Then you'll probably get like some sort of weird destruction of like our current system if Trump does win. I could see something like that.
No doubt, dude. Like, so I had this philosophy that's now I think is dumb. But I used to say, oh, just vote Trump, because if you vote Trump, like you just said, you'll get a Democrat in 2024, and that Democrat will be so far to the left of what any of the platform is preaching now, because it's going to have to be, because you can only lose with Hillary once, and then if you lose with her twice, it's like, okay, you got to give way to new leadership, because you clearly don't know what you're doing. And 2024, like that, you'd get an AOC, you'd get a Bernie Sanders corpse.
And Andrew Yang,
dude. Like, you'd get someone who's so far left of anything they would imagine pushing right now if Trump won again. But you'd have to maybe like fight in a civil war, which I don't know that I want to do.
No, like, you definitely don't want that. That's awful. Because I think it's stupid.
Burning. It'd be more like it'd be a lot more often. Like, it would be like potentially true chaos here, and
it could be. Yeah,
I don't think anyone actually wants that.
Wouldn't it be better if the country just broke up into 3 or 4 different countries that all kind of had like free, we could drive across borders and all that, kind of like almost like a European Union type thing, instead of a civil war? Now, look, everyone, I still would love for America to get back to some sense of normalcy, but it definitely feels like people want different things, and our brains are so polluted with 24-hour news networks and all the social media stuff that, like I said before, you talk to someone who's a Trump supporter and they will tell you that Joe Biden is a communist. He is so far from that, because everyone I know on the left, they could barely stomach him. He's really a moderate. The Democratic Party isn't really left. They don't want Medicare for all. They barely want legalized weed, I don't think. A lot of people within the party do, but I don't think it's like on the platform. There's a lot of shit that's just like, hey, we'll raise the minimum wage a little bit, and we'll keep Obamacare, we'll expand some coverage, and we'll be better during a pandemic, which is all like, yeah, that's all better than now, but still the country needs a lot more. And that's why I like kind of like Yang's idea, because he at least knows how to explain what he wants. The biggest problem with socialism, why people fear it / hate it, is they don't really understand what it is. They think it's communism. They think they can't open up their own business. They think in like socialist countries, you can't own your own business or make $1 million. The socialism that like Bernie was preaching is what they do like in Sweden and Ireland and Canada and Germany and Italy and all these like European, Japan, basically.
And it all works.
They're capitalist countries, essentially. They just have strong safety nets. They just mean you're not going to go bankrupt if you fall down a flight of stairs.
People, which is insane, apparently. Like, give a
shit
about
weird.
Your fucking countrymen.
Yeah, your tax dollars help people instead of, wasting it on stupid ass shit. So, that's basically.
I have the Democratic Party platform pulled up here. So
hell yeah, buddy.
Doing my
That's
job
why you're a great guest
as your producer. So here we go. So there's some larger bullet points here, and it breaks it down. I'm not going to read all the smaller ones, but okay. So building a stronger, fairer economy. Great. So I guess that means making minimum wage $15, which still is not even close to enough, by the way. If you
should be 20 if it went for inflation.
What it is.
Really, I know what you mean. The 20s.
If it followed productivity, because productivity and wages and union membership had a steep decline, I think in '82, like when the Reagan era kind of started.
Yes,
and productivity went way up, and all of the I think wages leveled off and then dipped and then leveled off again. So like $15 an hour, fine, if that's what we have to do. But again, it's all these tiny little stopgap things. Like, fix the fucking problem completely so we can all stop fucking yelling at each other in the streets. Anyway, so building a stronger, fair economy. That's the one big one. Achieving universal, affordable, quality healthcare. That's huge, and I didn't expect that from a Biden ticket with anybody, because Biden didn't want that. He wanted what was he preaching like in the debates? It was
he said we would just make it affordable
or something like
make it affordable enough. It was wording that was supposed to like appease young people, but still anyone paying attention is like, you're still getting pharmaceutical money and someone's getting screwed on something, because it's basically, look, everyone, people who want universal health care just essentially want the insurance companies out of the equation.
Yeah.
If it used to.
People who don't want that are being paid by the insurance companies. So anyone who tells you different is like, they have something to lose monetarily. They don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. Anyone with a fucking brain wants universal health care in this country. Anyone with a brain and a heart, frankly. All right, here's one that sounds kind of ridiculous. And this is a platform plank. Healing the soul of America. What the fuck does that even mean? That sounds like some puff piece bullshit. I know what it means, but you're right. It's puff piece. It means that's a tweet, dude. Like, what? I'm going to heal the soul of America. Okay, dude. Sure. Like,
I think he just essentially means I won't act like a disgrace.
Which, wow, high bar. Great. I mean, it sucks that we need that bar to be like stated, but still. Restoring and strengthening our democracy. What the fuck does that mean? Providing a world-class education in every zip code. Okay, fine. Better schools, please, dude. Pay these fucking teachers. They need the money. Renewing American leadership. What does that mean? Who knows? Oh, okay. So this is all their overseas stuff, renewing American leadership. So that's let's go to every country and fuck with what they're doing. Don't like that. So yeah, it's pretty.
Wait,
platform is. Go ahead.
Step back. You said, do you think that's like foreign policy going with other renewing leadership?
Oh, there's the main line there, and then right under that, is the smaller bullet points. So revitalizing American diplomacy, which is let's go overseas and talk to people. Which I mean, you should build a strong. We definitely need to repair relations with other countries after this nonsense. So go do that.
Sure. I think it's more like working with people on climate change and stuff like that. Right. When Trump was running as a candidate, I actually agree with him by saying, we shouldn't be the world's police. Let's butt out of other people's affairs. How much has he actually done that? Who knows? Because it seems like he just went to all these world summits and acted like a dick and only kissed Russia's ass as much as he could while ignoring real problems. So I don't know about that.
We definitely need to shake hands with people again and kind of be like, hey, that all that nonsense is over and we can go back to doing what we do best, which is telling all of you what to do.
Because we're a consumer. Yeah, exactly. We're a consumer-based economy, so you need to be friends with other people in the world because we need to sell them shit.
Yeah. Or China will do it, and they're already doing it. So, hey, man, I'll learn Chinese. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. I got a Chinese flag right there. We're ready to go.
I can't learn Chinese. I can't. I feel like if I try to teach myself Chinese, with the way Twitter is nowadays, everyone will say I'm being racist. They'll say he's doing an accent for laughs.
Chinese, Joe.
Appropriating Chinese. I actually have
Gaelic. You fucking.
That's what they would say. How dare a white man learn a Chinese person?
Shit, Chinaman.
I'm going to get fired from SNL Chinese for talking about this.
You can say it. I'm a quarter Chinese. You're fine.
Are you? I thought you were Japanese.
My grandfather was a.
Were you about to say the same thing? Hold on.
He was a Japanese Chinese national. So he's on both, but he lived in Japan, I think, but his parents were Chinese. So he was born in Japan, so he's technically Japanese, but his ancestry is Chinese, and then he came here, and here I am.
I like Japanese people better. I mean, I like everyone, guys, but a Chinese guy once played a joke on me in which he did pee in my Coke.
Oh no!
This Chinese guy.
That's the oldest trick of the book, John.
He thought he was being real funny, and then I'm like, please don't pee in my Coke. But it was a good one, All right, let me ask you this: if you were on Joe Biden's campaign, you were one of his advisors, and you saw what Trump said today, where he was like, Sleepy Joe can't do anything, and blah blah blah, and they're gonna fail, and I made America great, and Biden sucks. How would you tell Joe Biden to respond to Trump when Trump is acting like a 12-year-old?
This is probably why I'm not on his campaign, but I'd honestly tell him, like, dude, like, this guy's been calling you names for like a month, and everyone's watching the most R-rated shit on TV. You just need to go on TV and call him an asshole, Joe. Like, get on TV, say, look, I'm about to kick this guy's ass. Say kick this guy's ass in November. Say you could say ass like that and get away with it, I think. But yeah, be a little vulgar because like all of this, like, well, but no, yeah, stop saying malarkey. Say bullshit. Like, drop the malarkey, dude. Didn't he like paint that on a bus or something? Like, no more malarkey 2020 or something like that.
It was a line he said in like 2008 that people thought was kind of funny because he had this like Pennsylvania red-faced drinker look to him, where it's like he should be wearing like one of those like Irish, scally caps.
Yeah.
And be like, fucking malarkey, like kind of like have that vibe to him. But yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with your sentiment. I think he's got to step it up. The one thing that appealed to me about Biden early on was, look, the last election between Hillary and Trump was very, very close. There's no denying that Hillary won the popular vote. Yep. I thought what hurt Hillary in the Midwest and those swing states that she lost that hadn't gone Republican since like 88 and 92, Wisconsin and Michigan, was the fact that enough people hated her. She was so hated. People either liked her or hated her. Where Biden, I know a lot of people like that are like Republicans or even independents. The people I know who hate Biden are people who are Democrats, supposedly, and left-wing people. Right-wing people I know, some of them hate him, but they don't hate him the way they hated Hillary. Right. So I was like, all right, he's middle of the road enough where people won't go out of their way to vote against them. Where people who are like, I will wait in a fucking blizzard to vote against Hillary. Right. Ugh. Like, that's how much they hated Hillary. They were like, if that bitch thinks she's getting near the White House, we will lock her up. So the one thing I thought about Biden, though, is I thought Biden would actually be a little bit tough with him. Where, like, in the debates, I feel like Bernie has a little too much to be like, hold on there. He gets a very, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm about it. But I feel like Biden, if I were Biden, I'd be like, dude, I will stop acting tough. You're not tough. Hey, America, this guy's not tough. He keeps acting tough. He's not. Trust me, if I went like this to him, and if I were Biden, I'd do this move. If I did like a little, if I do a little check, what's up? Trump's flinching. You know it. He's not a tough guy, everyone. He's not. Look at him. He's a chubby guy. If I went like this, he'd piss his diaper. Look at him. He's frumpy.
He stands
weird. He can't walk downstairs.
He's fat. His wife doesn't want to hold his hand and shit. Like
I mean, Trump is tall. He's a tall guy. He's like 6'2".
Yeah.
You see Baron Vaughn, his youngest? Dude looks like he's like, look up Baron Vaughn height if you can. He looks like he's like 6'7", this kid. He is so tall, the youngest Baron.
I haven't seen a picture of this kid since year one, dude. Oh my god.
Dude shot up. He shot up they've been
feeding him like fucking like baby blood or something. This kid that is like unnaturally tall, dude.
And he is freakishly tall. I mean, Melania probably has some good height on her side, too. I mean, she looks like she's about 5'10".
He's taller than both of them by like 6 inches, dude. He is huge.
Weird. That kid also burns ants, right? I don't know. Everyone got mad when people made fun of the kid.
He's gone way past ants at this point, dude. He's got like rows of headless cats in his closet, dude.
Dude, he's Christian Bale in American Psycho without any kind of real charm.
For sure, dude. 100%. This kid is so fucking weird looking. Oh
he is.
Everyone in his family looks so weird.
This is what he looks like. He's got these shoulders that go up to his ears.
Yeah.
And it's just very like lanky. I feel like he has like, what's that guy from The Nightmare Before Christmas with Jack Skeleton or something? Yeah. He's got that body. It's like legs that go into your nipples.
His face off, he'd look just like Jack Skeleton.
I think so. I think so. All right, we do have a comment here earlier that I didn't address as it happened. I don't know if he's still watching live, but you are a producer. We're going to talk about some of the podcasts on your network.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And I want to get to know James Webb, everyone. A lot of people don't really know James Webb and his start and why he chose the path he did, so we will be getting to that. Look at me, I'm teasing like I'm some kind of AM radio guy. All right, across the screen, one B. Casper wrote, but how could you guys blow each other if you're not in the same room? Is that some sort of rumor about us that we're very close, you and I, or is that just him stirring the pot?
It's not a rumor. We're gay, and it's fine if people know that we're gay for each other. No, B. Casper is a part of this network, actually. She runs a podcast called That Time I Got Arrested. It is a very good podcast all about her incredible life, getting arrested, almost dying.
That's a cool title.
Drugs. It's honestly, it's a really cool listen. And she's actually going to be on a podcast on this very network tomorrow at 10 p.m. called Nobody Likes You with Dale McPeak. She is the guest.
I knew that. I saw that she was going to be the guest.
So that's gonna be so thanks, B, you stupid bitch. We'll see you tomorrow in the studio. Thanks for the question.
So Nobody Likes You with Dale McPeak, and everyone go back, pause this one right now. Go back to like 40 episodes ago, I think, of Kilgallon's Pub.
Yeah.
The Dale McPeak episode, I think, was maybe, it's not the most listened to episode, but it's definitely, I think, one of the one that got the most reaction. So many people hit me up saying I was crying, laughing, listening to that episode.
The story about him in the hospital is like,
dude, the hospital story.
Anything ever.
He talks about opening for Louis C.K.
Oh yeah, that's right after he did that. Yeah.
Yeah, he had just opened for Louis, and that was right around the time where people were like, "Why does Louis get to do comedy?" And which is another part of society that's a little weird right now when someone's like, "I thought we get rid of him. How come he gets to come back?" Because he has an audience, and he could just call up a venue and say, "Hey, I want to sell tickets to a thing," and people let you. I mean, it's not like he's on death row. I don't know. Like, I'm not. And by the way, when I say that, it's not like me endorsing what he did. I thought what he did was awful. But it's funny that, like, if you try to explain a bad person's whatever, people go, "Are you defending him?" I'm like,
"You're their best friend." Yeah, no.
It's ridiculous. But yeah,
more complex than that, kids.
Yes, we are damn straight. So Dale has a podcast in which he interviews people that a lot of people don't like, apparently. He famously had Mikey Manker, who was a friend of both of ours, but he was a dude who ruffled a lot of feathers in the comedy scene and pissed off a lot of people, and that was a really good listen. And basically, he has on people who are problematic, you could say.
Yeah, anyone if you're a comic watching, anyone who's ever been a nuisance has been on this podcast. Well, not anyone, but most of them, I'd say. We're working on getting more. Actually, and in 2 weeks, I'll make this announcement right now. In 2 weeks, the cast of Hillary is going to be on Nobody Likes You with Dale McPeak. So Bobby Buds and Todd Massey will be answering all of your questions. I don't know if you out there listen to Hillary. It's the most problematic podcast in Chicago. And those two dudes will be taking it all night from you guys next week.
Yeah, so people will submit like things that they're pissed off about, right? They'll be like, "Why are you a dick? Why are you a piece of shit?" Like stuff like that, right?
Yeah. We try and get like we've gotten like paragraph long questions before, and those are the ones we like because like the idea of the show is yes to be entertaining and like like there's fucking intrigue and drama or whatever, but it's also like there needs to be some kind of real utility to it, and like if there's real beef with someone that can be solved, let's get it out there for like 30 minutes to an hour, talk about it, try and resolve it. We had there was a beef. Zach O'Ryan was on. I think the last episode of the last season of Nobody Likes You, and Aaron Nadell called in about a real beef. Like he actually called into the show, and they worked out this like real beef that they had with each other for like months and stuff. And like they both came away happy and friends, and like everything was fine. Like that's this again, the drama, of course, but we do want like some kind of like resolution at the end of this show. So like it's not all about clicks. It's about healing.
That's good. And people who aren't into comedy or anything like that, again, you're going to listen to some gossipy shit. So it can be fun for you to listen to too.
It's pure entertainment. So
why would what would people have to hate about B. Casper?
You'll find out tomorrow.
Find out tomorrow. That's a good little tease right there. All right, cool. That's a good little plug for the podcast. Nobody Likes You. It's a cool
10
name.
10 p.m. Wednesday nights.
There you go. All right. Here's a question though. This is a hang episode of the podcast, so feel free, everyone, to throw some questions your way. Ron Grant, Joe, did you do stand-up at Zany's this weekend? How great was it to get that work again? Ron, I did do stand-up at Zany's, and it was a lot of fun. Luckily for me, the last show was the best show because the late show Saturday night wasn't so good. So I got to rebound from that. I made a couple mistakes, but also, well, here it is. Now that these comedy clubs are starting to open back up again, I think people are learning how to be audiences again, and comedians are learning how to be comedians again. And James and I did a project together that I'm releasing part 1 of in a couple days. I made my return to stand-up comedy earlier in the month. I didn't really talk about it on social media. I did 3 sets in one night, so it was kind of a cool comeback to comedy after about 5 months off. And I did 2 spots at the Laugh Factory and sandwiched a spot at Joe's on Weed Street in between. James followed me around filming it, so we were releasing it as like a little mini docu series, I guess. It would be 3 parts, 1 part for each set. Just makes it easier that way. Otherwise, it's too much editing for me. Still not that good at it. It's a lot of editing. Anyhow, It was just a weird crowd. Saturday night, someone threw up in the showroom before the show even started because they were that fucked up. That was the early show. And Zany's is a great club in Chicago. Laugh Factory, all the clubs in Chicago are great. Comedy Bar. I don't even work Comedy Bar. I'll endorse it because I'm a good person and my friends work it. And you should go there to see them too. The Improv out in Schaumburg. I don't believe that's open yet, but when it does, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, which leads to this next question. Chad McDaniel, our comedy clubs are opening in AZ. How are the clubs doing in Chicago? Cool. I actually read it wrong from the comment thing. I thought you were saying your clubs weren't opening. Yeah, I got to imagine Arizona's were probably opening up sooner because I don't know how you guys are doing with COVID and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, things are starting to pick back up. Zany's had everyone social distance. You have to wear masks. They take temperatures before you walk in. So that's good to see. They're taking precautions and everything like that. And yeah, it was a fun set. I just realized that I did a lot of the material I was doing in January leading up to my last hour filming is edgier stuff, I guess. And I don't even consider it edgy, but it's controversial topics. You know, I've got jokes about like, you know, race relations and, you know, mass shootings and, you know, other stuff, you know.
Probably want to hold those in right now, I would think.
Yeah, that was the thing. I started out doing pretty good, and then I kind of went into it without really preparing them. And they got a little weird on me, and then I got weird on them for that. And I realized, oh, a lot's changed in the world since January of 2020. It's now September, and a whole lot's gone on. So I'm trying to, every comedian I've talked to was like, dude, it's so hard to remember the old stuff. My old stuff is getting me in trouble. It's good stuff, but dude, if you think audiences were sensitive before, people are even more hyper aware of shit now. So when I just did kids stuff and like, you know, run-of-the-mill observational material, it killed and it was great. And then I was able to, the last show on Sunday, hit them with some harder stuff, and then they were totally on board with it because I had already well established myself. And then I made the point of why I'm bringing it up, where normally you could just bring it up, but I had to put it on a tee for them, as they say in baseball.
Yeah.
Anyhow, man. So you, James, though, I don't know if this is a secret to people outside of those of us who know you, but you want to open a comedy club. You've wanted to at least for years. Do you still want to, given what's happened with the pandemic and everything?
Yeah. I mean, I'll always want to open a club. Like
What's your vision?
The dream. You want the dream?
Fuck yeah, dude. If you can't, Ron Funches. You know who Ron Funches is?
I love Ron Funches.
Very lovely dude. I don't really know him.
Great comic.
Yeah, I think I met him one time, just like a hi, how you doing? When I was living in LA. But a really nice guy. We got a lot of mutual friends. Anyhow, I saw a clip of him the other day, and he was basically saying, I think he was doing like some sort of like law of attraction type stuff, which I've mentioned a couple times on this podcast. But he was saying, if you can't even say your dreams out loud, what makes you think you could achieve them?
Yeah.
So yes, James,
I believe that.
Speak those dreams into existence. Lay it out for us.
So the dream, you know, I've had this dream. I think a lot of people like us have had this dream for Chicago specifically for a while, where you know we've been kind of this AAA farm team for the rest of the country when it comes to stand up.
Well, really just the coast for LA and New York.
For LA and New York, yeah.
Yeah.
But like this is the last stop on the train before people get there to New York or LA. And I feel like we've been steadily losing people to go, which is fine. That's where all the work is. But eventually I want more work, more paid gigs to come here. And the part of attaining that goal is to have a club that is built by people who know what it's like to be in Chicago comedy. And that's why I want to open one of these clubs myself, because I've been part of this community for a long time. I've watched a lot of friends leave, and some of them come back. I've seen and it's heartbreaking to see your friends go, but it's even more heartbreaking when you know they don't feel like they're being treated the way they should. And having a club like this run by people who've been around for so long, there's an inherent trust in that. So there's the sappy version. Here's the meat and potatoes. This is what I want. I want a 3-venue space. This is going to take a while to, fill up and stuff, especially with coronavirus, but I want a 3-venue space, like a main stage, 2 cabaret style theaters, kind of like the theater that I started out in Chicago, the Chicago Center for the Performing Arts, where the Edge Comedy Club was. If you're familiar, I think you went to the Edge, right? A bunch of times
definitely.
So like they had that big theater, that big main stage theater, like 350 seats. and they had a couple of cabaret spaces, like 100. So you could run like local showcases or open mics in there every night, and then you'd have 2 or 3 studio spaces where you could record podcasts. Basically, I want to build the Comedy Store in Chicago. That's what I want.
That's pretty awesome because the Comedy Store has the main room, which is $250.
Yeah.
The original room, which is $1 something, and then the belly room, which is maybe $75.
Yeah.
I'm guessing 70-ish.
Something like that would be great, dude.
All 3 of those spaces are great. And then they have like a little podcast studio in the club too. They have that. I can never figure out. I've been in that club a million times, the Comedy Store. I can never figure out. Like if someone asked me to do blueprints of it, I'd be like, I have no fucking idea. Because there are times where I remember going into one bathroom and I went out the other way from when I came in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'm in the main room now. I thought I was coming from the belly room or the original room. There's staircases going one way, staircases going the other way.
Yeah.
That's why people think it was haunted because it's just crazy shit. Also, it's called the belly room because apparently back in the day, illegal abortions took place in there.
What? That's why it's called the belly? I thought it was like belly laughs. Like
I thought it was belly dancers or something like that, but that was the one thing that got thrown around a lot, that the Comedy Store belly room got its name from illegal abortions back in the day.
Well, I don't want any illegal abortions happening in my club.
Only legal.
Only
Actually,
legal
none, because it's a smell, I imagine.
I mean, we'll set it up right.
You set it up right.
But yeah, so I feel like, Chicago has a lot of great clubs. Don't get me wrong. The Laugh Factory is great. The people who run that place are great. Zany's, Comedy Bar, Improv, like all those places are fantastic spots. But like there's, the closest thing to a DIY spot is that we have right now is Lincoln Lodge. And dude, I love everyone involved in that place. And I feel so bad for what happened to them. They were on the verge of opening. Like they were doing their grand opening, I think in like at the end of March or something.
They did a soft open even. They had a few things going on.
Yeah, they had a couple shows and then fucking just bam, dude, coronavirus hits like 2 weeks after they opened. And I'm praying for them, man. I hope they pull through. Mark Geary is a wonderful person who's done amazing things for this town.
Great man for an Englishman, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Kidding,
certified
England.
Genius too. He's like a scientist. He's
a smart dude. No, I always like having conversations with that guy.
Gary's the man. But yeah, so like we have the Lincoln Lodge Comedy Bar as well. They started out as a local showcase, and now they have like they had a huge complex at Gino's East originally, and then coronavirus shut that. Coronavirus fucking sucks, bro. Like all of our friends are getting taken out by this shit, dude. But
it blows, but it's going to be interesting when things come back because it'll be a new world and a new landscape. And I think the new businesses, first of all, I want all the current businesses to rebound and do well. But then I also think there's going to be some adapting that's going to take place because some businesses sadly won't come back.
Right.
And the smart cities and we'll learn, hey, what are we going to do with these empty storefronts and empty spaces? And hopefully people cultivate some cool shit. I got to imagine like leases will be cheaper. They'd have to be. There's going to have to be like some sort of commercial real estate.
There's going to be rent abatement out the ass, dude. People are going to be like locking down spaces for a year without paying a dime in rent on them. And
I would think so.
And I feel terrible. I hate saying this, but I feel bad for the landlords of like businesses because like you bought that space to rent out commercially, and now that like there's no more everything is Amazon, everything is Grubhub and Uber Eats. Like there's really no or not as much need anyway for a physical storefront anymore. So like so many people are gonna fucking lose and are losing right now. It's really sad to watch, man.
Our guy Chad McDaniel wants to know what would be the name of your club, James.
Oh man, so we've been kicking that around.
69 420. Nice.
Fuck yeah, baby, smoke weed all day. No, so I don't know if this would be a good name for a club, but Stand Up was a show I ran. And that name is near and dear to my heart. This would be a stand-up comedy club.
Holy shit, though. I really like Chad McDaniel's suggestion. Can you read that? The Comedy Webb. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty fucking cool. You get like a Spider-Man type logo thing going on.
Thanks, Chad. More of a background kind of guy. I don't really like the spotlight. This is only the second podcast I think I've ever been a guest on, by the way.
Oh, I feel very privileged. But people wouldn't know, though. Like the Comedy Webb, that could be like, they wouldn't know that your last name is Webb. I've come across a couple businesses where I'm like, oh, that's also a last name, sure. But I just thought like if you found out Baker's Square was a guy named Jim Baker, you'd be like, oh, I thought it was because they baked shit.
Really worked out for him, didn't it?
Definitely worked out.
I mean, another name that I'm thinking is and why be complicated when you can keep it simple? The Chicago Comedy Club.
I like that idea. Did you see that thing I sent you? We shouldn't talk about it on air, actually, now that I realize it. But I sent you a link to a business.
Very interested in that.
It could be converted, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to put in a little work, maybe throw a wall up here or there, but I think it could be converted. Anyhow, but no, dude, I think that's I think what Chicago comedy needs to be right up at the level of New York and LA. I think talent-wise it is, but New York and LA has famous comedians, and people always go out for famous comedians.
But all those famous comedians are leaving LA now.
They are. A lot of them are.
Like, you know, first of all, they're all friends with a pedophile, so they had to get away from him. And then, like, you know,
wait, I mean, the Crystalia thing?
Crystalia, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah, and now Brian Callen and what's
Look, I'll address it real quick because I don't think I've ever talked about the Dalia or Callen thing on this podcast.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about it just because I've not that I'm avoiding the subject, but when everyone else talks about a thing, I don't feel the need to add to it. Like, hey, everyone on Twitter, the gender reveal jokes, great, because some gender reveal party burnt down half of California or something. Yes, gender reveal parties are stupid, but I don't understand the people who scroll through Twitter or Facebook and go, hey, I've seen 400 of these jokes. It's my turn. I just avoid the topic. I'm like, it's been done. It's hacky at this point. But Dalia, I met a handful of times. Every time I met him, he was really cool to me. Right. He was always with a woman who looked like she was in her late 20s, so I don't know anything about that. Sure. So far, his accusations have been grooming, and I don't think anyone has said he's banged anyone underage. So I do want to get that part right. I don't like, hearsay being on the podcast.
I was being facetious, but
I know. I hear you, man. With the Callen show, that's bad news. So hopefully, if if it's true, and I don't, I've heard enough where it's like, But you're right. So a lot of LA comics are leaving. Joe Rogan's in Texas now, Austin, I believe. Yeah. I saw the pictures of his studio. They look fucking terrible. I don't know why the build is cool. Joe Rogan, dude, nothing but respect, man. You're the podfather, buddy. But like
that fucking set looks real bad on camera, and
so bad.
Dude, he had the coolest sets. Like, he had pictures of Jimi Hendrix mugshots, and like, who else did he have? Like Johnny Cash's mugshots, shit, and like a big steel American flag. I'm not a big patriot or anything, but hey, pretty cool decor. You're gonna put fucking like the original series Star Trek like wall shit behind you, dude, in red. Like, come on, Joe. Like, you can do so much better. At least get variable lighting so you can change the color of the room. You're stuck with red forever, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're like the king of podcasts, dude. Fix your shit. I know you're listening, Joe. Fix your shit. You just painted it. The paint's barely dry. You can strip that shit tomorrow and paint it white. And then you can have Jamie light it correctly. How dare you, Joe Rogan?
I bet they'll fix it. He doesn't have any Marvel characters like I do. Nothing cool like me.
Your background, honestly, better than Joe Rogan's new set.
Thank you. I think it is.
You have T'Challa.
Damn right I do. T'Challa. Right there. I got Nirvana's first album, Bleach. I got a Richard Pryor album on the wall, Wanted, Richard Pryor. Hell yeah, man. I got a poster of me when I headlined a show at a club in Alaska. So anyway, though, it did not look good. If I were a city like Austin, though, which sadly Austin City Limits, which is supposed to be like the best club there, announced that they're closing today. So maybe Rogan's going to buy a comedy club.
I'm surprised that they would like.
Because I heard Tim Dillon's moving there too.
Is he moving to Austin or is he moving to? Was he just fucking around when he said that? Because I think I heard that episode of this podcast.
Someone else kind of said it too over the weekend when I was hanging out with Zanies. Another comic mentioned that they heard that it's not like a joke. But also I heard that here's how much money Joe Rogan has. I think Duncan Trussell is moving, but I heard that he said to Joey Diaz is moving to New Jersey, and that already did. He's there. He moved there like last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I heard that he said, "I'll buy you a house. Move to Texas with me. I will buy you a house."
To who? Who did he say that to?
To Diaz. Duncan? I think Duncan, Diaz? He might have made that. I think he was offering that deal to a few people.
I mean, he has the money.
Dude, apparently.
He can buy them a few houses and be fine.
Easily. Dude, you know how everyone says he got $100 million from Spotify? Yeah. He's never disclosed it, neither is Spotify, but people in the know are like, it's more than $100 million.
Yeah, it's more. That's what I'm hearing now, too. Like,
it would kind of have to be because he was making an insane amount. People said he was making at least $30 million.
I thought it was 50 a year.
Maybe it was 50 million a year, but that was not counting like other stuff he does.
Yeah.
So like if you want the rights to that exclusively, you're gonna have to really up it. It's probably at least 100 million. Yeah. And he's going to Texas, which has no state tax. I mean, he's still gonna pay the federal tax.
That's why he's moving. He's got to fucking get rid. Do you really want to pay 12% of what you make for nothing? I think that who was saying that earlier? It was Schultz, your guy, Andrew Schultz, was fucking saying on his show, he was like, yeah, why would you stay in a place that's going to take $12 million of your money and give you nothing for it? Like, obviously move. Go where Texas, Florida. I mean, it sucks to live there because the people are dumb and they don't, well, no offense to anyone listening in Texas, Florida. I'm sorry, except for you guys. You're the smart ones. But Texas, Florida, like weed's not legal there. You can't do fucking drugs. Like the cops hate you, but you don't have to pay taxes. I guess that's a fair trade-off. It's just,
well, if you're that rich, everywhere you live is going to be cool as hell.
Oh, for sure.
You could just get the coolest shit, right? Yeah. I do hear you on the tax thing. I do think sometimes when I hear about rich people avoiding taxes, it makes me like roll my eyes, be like, how much money do you fucking need? Right. But again, in a state like California, that's so much higher, in Illinois too, when your state tax is so much higher than these other places, I get the idea of being like, well, what are you going to give me? I think that's what's always annoyed me. Like, I come from a pretty progressive family, but there have been like Illinois Democratic governors and Republican governors where we're like, these people are idiots because the state tax is bullshit because they don't do anything for you. Like the city of Chicago at least takes out your garbage. At least has like all these like services. Yeah. You know, the state of Illinois has one good service, and that's the Illinois Department of Transportation. If your car breaks down on the highway, they will tow you off the fucking highway for free. And that's we don't have to call anyone.
All our taxes go to. That's it.
But really, what other ones they do? I mean, they're supposed to fund the schools better than they do at least, but they're kind of broke. I just don't understand what the states exactly do. You have to pay for the roads, so it's not like they're even doing that. There's still tolls in Illinois. Some states don't have tolls. I don't know. I'd have to look. Maybe I'm talking on my ass, but it feels like if you're going to pay a high tax, you should be getting more in return for it. Yeah. I'm totally. I buy into that logic, you know? Like everyone
a rich guy would move to pay less money. I fucking hate rich people with money, but like it's like you were saying earlier, like you thing, but you're not agreeing with a thing.
Well, I want you to be clear though, because I've done shit like this before.
Yeah.
And someone threw it back in my face once. They're like, I thought you hated rich people. No. I don't hate rich people. I hate rich people who didn't work to become rich.
Sure.
I hate like the people who were born rich and then think they're hot shit because of it. Right. You know what I mean? These trust fund kids who didn't achieve anything. They didn't accomplish anything. Mommy and daddy accomplished stuff and they're dicks because of it. And that's usually the case. You know what I mean? I think I've met one or two rich people in my life that were like, you didn't know they were rich. They were cool as hell. And then later you found out, oh, they're really rich. I'm like, wow, I didn't know. Because you meet a lot of these people and they're pompous pricks. And then you find out, oh, well, yeah, they got a fucking Ferrari for their 16th birthday. They grew up in a mansion. Right. Mommy and daddy told them they could do no wrong. Yeah. They got
a job at their dad's fucking company and like as a COO or something immediately. Like, yeah.
And you just want those people to be honest. You want them to be like, yeah, I grew up with a lot of money and I know how lucky I am and I'm so grateful and people have it way worse than me. And look, I can't help you. You can't help being born poor. I couldn't help being born rich, but at least I'm trying to do something. Like they can never, but instead they always go, no. I built this shit. When I was 18, my dad gave me $10 million, and look how I built this.
And now I'm the fucking president.
Yeah, Trump's a great example of that. Yeah, I mean, he made his money in real estate at a time when like Manhattan real estate was cheap as shit. And some people were like, well, he was smart enough to buy it. I'm like, well, because he had the means. I mean,
he was connected to all the people who knew what they were doing with all that shit, who were already taking advantage of the system. Like, of course, he was smart enough.
Yes.
All he ever heard was do this, do that from the people who were taking advantage of the system. So, like, it's not smart. That's being around smart people who are evil. Like,
yeah.
And then there's that line, like a small loan of $1 million, whatever. Get fucked, dude. Like, really, a small loan of $1 million 30 years ago? It's not a small loan, dude. Today, maybe, but like 30 years ago, suck my dick, dude. You're fucking. You've been taking advantage of people forever. You didn't work for anything. You were just around the right people. You got lucky, dude. Now you're fucking president.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And again, there's nothing wrong with getting lucky, but you have to fucking own it. You have to own it. Don't act like.
At least be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I got handed a lot in life, and here I am. So, and then you say, now tell me what to do for you, instead of being like, here's what I'm gonna fucking do. You know.
What's that old phrase? You were born on third base. Don't act like you hit a triple. Or they were born on third base. Act like you hit a triple. That sort of thing. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I know you admire a lot of people who worked from the ground up and became rich.
Dude, my dad was that. That was my fucking
so.
Father. You know, he came from nothing. He lived in the Bible Belt. He was they called him the miracle baby. He was the third try. He was an only child for his two parents who made no fucking money at all. And he started the ground floor at the company he works at today, and he's an executive. Like he knows hard work, and he didn't give me shit when I left my house. He could have given me everything, and he was like, "No, you're gonna do it like I did." And yeah, I definitely have fucking privilege. I didn't start at the bottom, but it's like, I made something okay, I think, out of what I got. And
No,
I'm
you
not
did great, man.
asshole, and I'm not a fucking asshole about it. Like you need to make sure that if you have something, if you were given something, that you do everything you can to give back to the people around you. And I try to do that as much as I can.
I just switched camera angles. Is this too close?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah, let's switch it to be a little closer.
But yeah, just if you have more than others, and you do, make sure that you acknowledge that and work as hard as you can to even the score. At least in your general vicinity, you can't. Not everyone can have.
Or at least pay it forward. I mean, you can't. There's, I don't know how much one individual could do, but you could at least advocate for paying it forward and all that kind of stuff. There was it's just, it's weird, the relationships people have with stuff right now. I feel like everything has to be extremes. Everyone has to be on one side and be strongly on that side, and be on this side and be strongly on that side. There's very few people these days who are just like, I don't fucking know. Or they're just like, sure on that, no on this, I don't know, maybe. That type of thing. I just noticed with the money thing, I was talking to someone over the weekend, it might have been another comedian, and they used the expression, well, money's the root of all evil. And I don't think money's the root of all evil. Greed is the root of all evil. Greed ruins things. There's a lot of great things out there that greed ruined at every level. I was talking about this. There's a place in Chicago called Al's Beef. Al's Beef was one of the best beef places. Then they franchised and got really big, and the quality sucks now because greed ruined it, I think. I don't know. There's just a lot of shit that greed will ruin. I don't think Amazon is a terrible company. I think they just need to actually play by better rules. They should pay their employees a fair wage. They don't. They're cheap as shit when it comes to that kind of stuff, and they dodge taxes. Yeah. That's why people hate when someone says they hate Amazon. That's what they mean. They don't mean they hate conveniently having shit shipped to their house. Right. Also, that's not even original. The JCPenney catalog did that for decades, but for some reason they were too stupid to realize that people preferred that, and they put they stopped printing the catalog because they were looking to cut costs. This was like in the early 2000s, late 90s, and then Amazon emerged by 2003 or 4. It was a company before that, but when they really took off, that was when they were buying up Google AdWords for everything. Yep. So anytime you search for anything, they were the first website to pop up because Google AdWords was so cheap, and that's how they really took off. And now they're just a monster. Get this, everyone. Here's something that's happening. I mentioned JCPenney. JCPenney's and Sears for a while now, but JCPenney's now joining that. They have been closing up shops all over the country the last 3 to 5 years. And most JCPenney's and Sears nationwide were in malls owned by, I believe, Simon is the company that owns a lot of these malls across America. So Amazon is going to them going, hey, these old JCPenney's and Sears? We're going to take them over and be but we're going to use them as distribution centers. And Amazon loves that because malls are typically located near a lot of people. Yep. So it gets them closer so they could ship same day and get to people even faster, which they will then increase their sales in turn because people will it's so easy to click and something comes to your doorstep. Yeah. And so some people are thinking, wow, that's crazy because Amazon is helping these malls because they put Sears and JCPenney out of business. Amazon's the reason Sears and JCPenney are out of business. And so now they're taking their old spots. But get this, they're saying to these malls, oh, by the way, we're going to pay you half of what Sears and JCPenney paid you.
No.
And what are these malls going to do, though? Because who else would take these massive 25,000 square foot spaces, right?
Nobody. That is a cycle of evil.
It is. It's like just this crazy shit where people forget. I mean, there's a lot of free market capitalists, but we've never really had that. We've always kind of had we're against monopolies. We've had these antitrust laws for a while where businesses are supposed to compete. And that's great. Look, Amazon competed and they fucking won. They won big time.
But now it's a monopoly. Then they shit in your mouth and ask you to thank them for feeding you. That's fucking... Jesus Christ.
But look, we're still going to order from them because I'm not saying they don't deserve a lot of money for what they do. They made it so that I don't have to go to a mall around Christmas time, which is nice because they're fucking painful. But in the same regard, there should be stuff in place where it says, hey, richest company on the planet, maybe let's pay people who work 40 hours a week for you enough money so they could fucking eat. So that way taxpayers don't have to subsidize that for you, cheap fucks.
Yeah, dude. The same with Walmart too. Like
Walmart's
Walmart has the biggest,
worst.
like, corporate welfare on the planet, and they don't pay their employees anything. Like, it's ridiculous, dude.
So
like,
what Walmart would do,
works for Walmart and Amazon should make minimum like $25 an hour. Just because
I would agree.
How much money they fucking make. Like, it's outrageous, bro.
Costco is the opposite. Costco pays their employees very well. I think they start at like $19 or $20 an hour.
Really high.
Very little turnover. People who get a job at Costco don't leave because they treat their employees right.
I've seen the same people at my Costco for the last like 5-6 years.
A great comedian friend of our, Marty DeRosa, he held on to that Costco job way longer than he needed to because he was starting to make good money doing comedy because it was a pretty good gig for him. They full benefits and stuff like that. So there are people, it shows the difference between Costco and Walmart is the CEO of Costco makes like $1 million a year, where the CEO of Walmart makes like $80 million a year. And by the way, $1 million a year is amazing. You could have an amazing life for that with that.
So here's actually, I wanted to bring this up earlier. There's, like you said, money, the root of all evil is not money, it's greed. So here's something positive that capitalism has done in China. It's either China or Hong Kong. So there's a huge
Hong Kong's a big capitalist place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's Hong Kong then. So there's this. There's a gigantic like rhino horn and elephant horn trade there that just became legal last year. So there are a lot of scientists who got into printing with actual genetic material fake rhino horns that are actually like you couldn't tell the difference under a microscope. It's made of the same carrot and all that shit in the horn, and they're selling it at 1/8 of the price that it costs to sell a real one. So they're going to undercut all the poachers and take the market back so that it's not cost effective to poach rhinos anymore. So
that's great.
That's kind of a cool thing capitalism has done.
Yeah, because fuck poachers. Yeah, fuck poachers, stuff like that. Look, I think, I used to joke with you off air when I was going to the studio all the time, saying what the perfect system to me was something I would refer to as moral capitalism.
Yeah.
Meaning, go ahead, start your business, make a shitload of money. That's great. But we're going to tax you just a little bit more so that way we could take care of some people,
right?
And we could, invest a little bit more in education, because just because some kid's born poor doesn't mean he should have disadvantages, because you can't choose where you're born, and we're the land of opportunity, right? Let's truly, honor that.
Yeah.
The reason I say it's greed that's the root of all evil as opposed to money is because I've met people who were assholes. They got money, and guess what? They were just assholes with money.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've met I think money just amplifies what you are. If you're a really good person and all of a sudden you come across a bunch of money, you're going to be a good person with money.
Right.
If you're a dick, you're going to be a dick with money. I think it just amplifies what you already are as a person.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, money's paper, money's coins, money's digital currency now. It's greed, and it's what you aspire to be. Like the CEO of Costco could easily make way more fucking money.
Oh yeah.
But I think he sleeps better at night knowing that he's doing so much more for his community and the people who work for him. Mm-hmm. That's really the way I see it.
Yeah. Well, and shit, and their brand image is better because of it, for God's sake. Like, even from like the most corporate level, like being ethical with your money is the best thing you can do for your brand image. Like, it's insane that Amazon and like Walmart and all them have grown past the need to be ethical with their money because they have so much. They don't have to do that because they don't care about their brand image, because they know people are just going to go to them. That's why monopolies are bad, because you can just abuse all the power you get from all the money you take. It's terrible.
That's true. I don't know how, like, every couple of years someone's like, order from this company or that company instead. I'm just like, who the fuck are they? Like, you want a new company to come across and compete with Amazon. I don't know. It's going to take a while for that to really happen.
Yeah, man.
Because they're in the game, dude. That show, The Boys, you love it to death. It's on Amazon. So,
Boys!
Dude, I'll talk about The Boys with you for a couple seconds here, and then we'll because I haven't seen season 2 yet, so I don't really know how much I could talk about it. I'll just say this: I'm not as excited. Season 1 I think was amazing television. Yeah. It was great television. And I remember when the watching season 1 finale, going like, shit, I cannot wait for season 2.
Yeah, baby.
I was so pumped. And then as season 2 was rolling up, I started to revisit some of season 1.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, everyone, if you haven't seen season 1, you could turn the podcast off or fast forward. We're only going to talk about it for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
The scene in season 1 when they let those people die on the plane really fucked with me.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it again, and I started getting this really sadness in my soul.
Not a comfortable scene to watch.
No, it's pretty brutal. And then it made me have flashbacks to some Game of Thrones stuff where it's such good television. Like every episode's like a movie, and you're on the edge of your seat, and it's really compelling stuff. But some of it's so dark and it's so like ugly. Like in Game of Thrones, spoiler, I think this is season 1 when the one king dies, and then the Joffrey took over, I think, or that one piece of shit kid
when
king.
When they behead
Well,
Ned.
they behead Ned Stark. So Ned Stark dies out of nowhere, and that really fucked with me because you didn't see that coming. Because they did that in episode 9 of a 10-episode season.
Yeah.
That's where Game of Thrones was genius.
Yeah.
You know, most shows and the last episode of the season, all sorts of crazy shit happened. They had it in that episode before that, so you were really like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" You know.
Yeah.
There's one where that king had like bastard kids, and some of them were
Robert
babies.
Baratheon.
Yeah, well, some of them were babies, and there's a scene where like the guards were sent in to kill the babies because they wanted no bloodline because they didn't want the babies to grow up and one day challenge the throne.
Yep.
And the one like security guy or like whatever or soldier or whatever you want to call him, he was looking at the baby like, I can't do it, and the other person's like, oh, for God's sakes, and took a knife and you're like, good Lord, people like were into this shit.
Yeah.
That made me turn it off, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this for a while. So I'm eventually gonna pop on The Boys.
Yeah.
I just have to get that fucking scene out of my head because I think I put myself on that plane, and I know it would never happen because there aren't superheroes.
Right.
But like,
no,
it's still
very traumatizing. Like I was in the same boat with you, dude. I've watched that scene like with intent a couple times just to be like analyze it for myself, be like, holy shit, like this is some real ass shit. Like little girls got left on that plane, dude.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Really hardcore. But this season,
having kids changes you too.
I bet, dude. Like it's got to be 10 times worse for you. But like this season there's definitely there's the darkness, but so far they've only released 3 episodes, which I like because it gives me something to look forward to every Friday.
Smart.
They
combined what Netflix and HBO did. Very smart.
They didn't go so evil with it this time yet.
Okay, but I'm sure it's gonna build.
It's definitely. I'll tell you in the episode 3, some shit goes down. Some shit goes down in every episode, but like you're not gonna get that same feeling yet. So if you want to jump back in, you have a little safety buffer before it gets too real.
And I'm sure, I'm gonna jump back in. I'll probably do it this week. And I'm sure there's gonna be a great payoff for it too, because when our guys, the boys, I just because the dude seems so unbeatable. He is like
Homelander or Billy the Butcher.
Homelander.
Yeah,
seems so unbeatable.
Just wait.
And is it going to be like one of those great scenes like in, again, spoiler, season 6 or season 5 or 6 of Game of Thrones when Arya Stark gets that revenge on House Frey?
Just wait, bro.
Because to me, that's one of the best revenge scenes in any.
That was insanely good.
When she takes the mask off.
Yeah, just like, and she just fucking
tell them House Stark remembers.
Yeah.
Dude. The
season 2 is going to be better than the first season. Just
all right.
Give yourself a chance, bro. Get in there.
All right, you were always my go-to guy for Marvel stuff, and I was really late to the game, but I am, of course, obsessed. I've probably watched Endgame like 19 times. That's my favorite movie ever. I love everything about it. I'm excited for the Black Widow movie. I want more.
Dude,
I want Phase 4 of the MCU to start. I want all this stuff. I want more. I think I'm more excited for the Black Widow movie for the post-credits scene, which is supposedly supposed to set up some major shit.
Good.
Do you have any any rumors or any MCU things you want to tell us about that you recently found out?
I heard that the one of the main villains of the entire the next arc is going to be MODOK. Do you know about MODOK? The guy
that sounds familiar. Was that the person in Doctor Strange?
No, he's in that little.
Oh.
He's in that suit that he's the big head, and the little tiny arms and legs that kind of floats around everywhere. He's like a scientist that gets like forced into a computer. He's basically like half computer, half man.
Oh, was he in like the X-Men animated series episode? Yes.
MODOK was in that. And so AIM is going to come back. The bad guys from Iron Man 3. I don't know.
Cool.
There's some pretty cool stuff happening. I'm not totally abreast on Marvel stuff though, just because like it's been so long since like anything's. I kind of forgot about Marvel, honestly.
Nothing's come out since Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yeah,
that was the end of the last phase. They do. For everyone you don't know, they put them out in phases. What do you think they're going to do with the Black Panther franchise going forward?
They got to give it to Shuri, dude. They can't.
That's his sister, who's like the scientist, genius scientist.
They can't recast T'Challa. Like
you can't recast Chadwick Boseman. He was too great.
Chadwick forever. Like I'm talking like 100 years from now, dude. Don't recast T'Challa. You can have another Black Panther. Just no, T'Challa died 100 years ago. Don't even fucking do it. But his sister should get it. She gets it in the comics, and it's honestly like if T'Challa were to die in the movies, it would pass down to her because it's a family line thing. So
smart, pass it down to her. But how do they kill off T'Challa?
I don't know.
CGI some stuff, or like make it have references to a battle, or maybe they
plenty of people. Yeah.
You know how in Rocky 5 it opens with him like all fucked up from the battle that was Rocky 4? Maybe they could have Black Panther 2 open up with him not like no one really noticed it, but he took some real blows in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. And
he's still kind of recovering, and there's some sort of weird side effects, and eventually it took him out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
They do have to. However, I don't want to be the writer in the room for that. Like
me either. Fuck that task.
They're gonna incite so many riots if they get it wrong. That I will be in. I don't know.
That's gonna be hard to pull off.
Give it to Shuri and just say T'Challa passed on, and that's it. You don't even really have to explain it. Just be like, yeah, one day T'Challa passed on and it was terrible. They can tell it in a little like CGI story before the movie, and then like they don't even have to have Chadwick's face in it, and then boom. Shuri, and then a big memorial at the end of the movie for Chadwick Boseman, of course, or at the beginning, wherever you want to put it. And then we move on. It's probably what he would have wanted to happen, honestly.
Definitely. Maybe they could like open with like the tribute thing could be. It doesn't have to be close-ups on everybody, but they could kind of play out the like a funeral in which you see like Black Panther. I don't know how they would do it. Whatever, like Wakandian tribal ceremony type of thing.
Big thing like a march downtown, maybe like show.
And then off in the distance, you could see like Thor, Hulk.
Some of the Avengers show up.
Some of the Avengers kind of like watching. They pay the respect. I think that'd be really
sick as hell. You just wrote the scene, bro. You just healed America with the fucking scene you wrote, dude.
People would love that. They would really. It'd bring everyone together, I think.
That should be on the Democrat platform for 2020.
Yes, we will. We will give Black Panther the burial he deserves, the memorial he deserves, an eternal flame, much like JFK has.
Yes.
I'm getting really into these YouTube channels that talk a lot of Marvel stuff, and literally an hour and a half before the news broke of Chadwick Boseman's sudden passing, and everyone check out my YouTube channel. I did like a little mini podcast where I kind of paid tribute to him as an actor and talked about the impact and why everyone was like just like almost in tears, even people who weren't like close to him.
Dude,
it was just just to go over it again. It's so sad, and I have so much respect because how courageous this dude was, filming epic movies and physically grueling roles of this superhero while dealing with for 4 years.
He made 5 movies, bro. 5 movies since 2016.
And again, shout out to everyone in his crew because nobody spilled the beans. Nobody said shit.
Yeah.
They kept it on lockdown, which is nice to see because everyone's always opening their mouths these days when they're not supposed to.
Imagine having a circle like that, bro. That'd be
just when you're that great a guy, people honor what you do. So there's a little lesson, a little message for the kids: be a good person, and people will do what you ask them to. They'll honor your wishes.
Right.
I saw a thing on YouTube where they were like the next core of the Avengers, because we all know the first 6 being Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And this next wave, they're kind of like Captain Marvel, Spider-Man. They had like a little poster where I think they put Spider-Man in the middle with Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and like Ant-Man or something like that. And I remember being like, oh yeah, this is still a great crew of superheroes. Dude. That's a squad and a half. And then you'll Guardians of the Galaxy will still be around.
Yeah.
And So yeah, there's still gonna be so many awesome stories, so many good heroes. Thor's emerged as my favorite because how great Ragnarok was and his character joining with Guardians of the Galaxy, and also doing the Thor and Love and Thunder. Looks like it's gonna be a dope movie.
I can't wait for that, bro. Holy shit!
They started production in Australia this week.
They did, really?
Yeah, I read that or watched it on YouTube. So yeah, gonna be pretty great.
And then Ant-Man's kid is gonna be Cassie Lang. She's what is her?
The Young Avengers they're going to do?
Yeah, they're going to do the Young Avengers. And Spider-Man's going to be in that. So it's like, we're getting a whole lot of Spider-Man pretty soon, dude. So, like, it's the next batch of Marvel stuff. It's going to be, I kind of feel weird about it just because it's been so long. Like, I hope it has the same kind of punch that it did because they really ramped it up so well. It just kind of kept the emotions high for like 10 years.
Perfect.
And
dude,
now it's this
fucking perfect.
This big stoppage is just like, there's stuff to fill the gaps, but it's like,
I'm still pissed Endgame didn't get nominated for an award for Best Picture. What are you
going to do?
That's just what they're not into comic book movies. I mean, Black Panther, which was great. It's maybe, I don't know, if I were to rank my MCU movies, Black Panther's probably like number 4 for me, number 3, number 4 in that range. It's great. Then that's not a knock to be that high.
It makes you a racist, but that's
yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's why it's number 4. Right. If it were White Panther, duh, clearly number 1. But yeah, that's saying something though. That if you're to be even in the top 7 on a list of 22 movies, top 10 is incredible because they're all. I really do love them all. There's maybe a couple movies where I'm like, nah, I don't need to watch that one again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But even if it was on TV, if it was like on TNT flipping through the channel, you'd still would watch. You'd stop on it for a while. But there's so many great movies that to pull off Endgame in that way they did.
Yeah.
Where I'm still jealous that I wasn't following along enough to have been like, I got to go to opening night. Because I think everyone knows on this podcast, I got into Endgame like 6 months after it came out. Disney Plus came out in November, and I caught up basically by watching all those. Is just still insane to me. Yeah. That they didn't reward it. They should have said, look, we got to give this thing a nomination. It's not going to win because we're just not into this type of thing winning. We're more into artsy films. Fine. But it should have been recognized more for how incredible. It was a 3-hour movie that didn't feel 3 hours. Yeah. Also, the way it tied up, it did callbacks to previous movies. It's just hard to. It's one of those movies to me where if you follow it and you don't like it, I question you.
Oh yeah.
Are you normal? You didn't like Endgame? Are you? What's fucking wrong with you? That's
the whole mountain of cherries on top. Endgame is. I loved that movie so much.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, well, let's wrap up right now by talking about our day yesterday, and then you could plug the podcast, all your podcasts, I should say. James Webb and I played in an annual. It's not even an annual. We're playing almost weekly now, but the Chicago comedy scene has been playing a lot of softball this summer. Traditionally, it used to be just on holidays like Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. And we played some big ones. We played 3 games yesterday. James was the captain, and Joe Fernandez, who's a regular on this podcast, was the captain of the other team. James' teams were victorious, taking 2 out of 3. I'll say this. In the group thread, there was messages from people saying, damn it, I am so sore today.
Dude.
How'd you feel this morning?
Oh, my God. How did I feel 20 minutes after the fucking... Dude, I almost had to stop. I live a block away from the park.
You do.
And I almost collapsed on the sidewalk walking home because I played another game after you left. So
I know you guys played 4. I played 3, and you guys threw in a 4th, which was insane to me. Listen, I've been working out a little bit lately. I've been keeping it under wraps, but I have been exercising and eating right. I've been doing these daily shakes. Thanks. I've only lost a couple pounds, but I feel a lot better. So when I woke up this morning and saw those messages of people complaining, I felt great, and I'm like, "Look at this! Look at this! I'm going in the right direction. This is awesome." But no, hold on, James. You're going to feel very satisfied and vindicated in a few seconds here.
Yeah.
At around 4:30 today, I went to open my refrigerator. As I completed the open, my body said "fuck you" to my brain, and my lower back, and now my neck and then my ribs and this whole side, and I think because I'm righty, swinging just that swing, and it just all affected me, and now I join the rest of you in being in a lot of pain.
Good, you deserve it.
And it wasn't hot. It was actually perfect weather, but all that running around in the sun, it adds up,
Yeah. Well, and you were getting hits all day, and
I did a lot of running, man.
You did. You're a solid base runner. I'll tell you that, you piece of shit. You definitely you get your extra bases in when you can. All those comedy softball, a lot of errors. So
you're
getting so many extra bases if you get on even one. So yeah, you were running around a lot.
Yeah, that's why I think my legs are killing me right now. Yeah. I did have 1-6 slide. You had some nice hits, but you also lost your temper there, James. Did you really explode in the fourth game, or was it earlier?
Man, no, I mean,
I saw you throw your bat. I didn't think that was a big a deal.
I threw the bat at the cage, at the ground. Okay, I was not trying to hurt anybody, but yeah, you know, some of you might know, you probably don't. You know, I have a little anger problem sometimes. Try to keep under wraps. You know, we all have problems, right?
You do a great job keeping under wraps.
Thanks, Doc. I got a little bit like because that was the first game, so we were down by it was 15-5, bro. I was not happy with the way my team was performing, and I take full responsibility. I was not doing my job as a coach and a captain to keep my team in line. Okay, and I got a little frustrated. I threw a bat, and I got a little upset later on in the day, and I yelled a little bit, but you know, and if you're watching, I'm sorry. I know I have a problem. I'm working on it. But it was fun. It was a fun day, dude. Fucking 6 hours of softball with a ton of cool people. It's 72-degree weather, dude. It was the best. It was one of the best Labor Days I've ever had. That
was fun. I agree. I had such a blast doing it. I will say this about a bad temper.
Yeah.
I think there's two things I'll say about it with how people react. When you threw the bat at the fence, I've done that a million times. I'm notorious for that.
Right.
I thought immediately, I hope no one gives him shit for that, because that was clearly he just needed to let off some steam. He aimed it away from people, and it was so obvious, because I have that thing where I'm mad, but I'm still kind of in control, but it's I got to do something. So I'll take a can of something, or if I have the bat in my hand, I'll go away from people and hit a tree, or I'll chuck it somewhere. So, all right, fine.
Right.
I don't think people need to apologize for that. But when you yell at other teammates, then it's all right. I had a moment or two when my team was kind of booting the ball around where I just was listen, let's settle the fuck down. That's all. That was the worst I got yesterday. And I've been much better, because I notoriously, not last summer, I think 2 summers ago, I had that one. It was at Hamlin where I threw a bat damn near across the street.
You almost broke the bus stop. You threw the bat over a covered cage. And almost hit a fucking bus stop glass. It was
on a major busy street. So that was enough where people you do need to apologize for that, even though you weren't aiming for us. You could have killed someone. I think sunscreen I kicked all over the place at people. So that was a lot of apologies were necessary there. And then I'm look, I just in my head I'm I can't go to these things anymore. I get too irritable. And at the time I was sleeping 3 hours a day.
Right,
now I'm getting 7 hours of sleep a night. I'm much happier. I'm chill. I don't let bad things. When I play bad, I let it go. Airs, I chill it out with all that kind of stuff. So, but I definitely have no problem if you want to throw a bat or spike, or just throw a can of beer or whatever. As long as you're not aiming at people,
right,
and it just cools you down a little bit, fine. I don't understand other people getting mad about that. It's what do you? They get into that thing where it's hey now. It's what are you, my dad? Get the fuck away from me.
Come on, man. I'm a grown man. Let me blow off some steam here, okay? Because I'm not Joe Kilgallon. I'm just trying to blow some fucking steam off, right?
Few people are. I had that once with a teammate. I played in a league once where I threw a bat and someone said, settle down. And I said something fuck you. Because then I got someone to be mad at. Yeah, I wasn't mad at anybody. Now I'm pissed at you. So shut the fuck up.
Don't talk shit to the guy trying to be less mad, dude, please.
To me, I think that's a lot of people who just didn't know how to be around confrontation growing up. Because people who've been around confrontation, they could sense.
Yeah, they're when he'll be fine in a second.
Give it a minute. Yeah. He'll be fine. He'll be chill. He'll high five us on the next good play, or give us a pound because it's coronavirus.
Babies, Jesus
right? Christ. Absolutely. All right, tell everyone about the People of Comedy Network.
The People of Comedy Network is Chicago Comedy's premier podcast network. We have damn it, I can't even put a solid number on it. It was 30 before the coronavirus. It's somewhere around maybe half that now.
I'm still part of the network. I just don't go to the studio anymore.
Kilgallon's definitely still part of this family.
Yeah.
We're
maybe I'll return.
Please, God damn it! I just upgraded this room. By the way, let me tell you about this room. This room is now the most powerful. I'll go ahead and say it: the most powerful podcast studio in Chicago. Rivaling that of Joe Rogan, we have 3 4K cameras in here that we live. This gentleman right here live switches during shows, so you get a very premium experience for unfortunately, I do have to charge to stay open, but for no money, basically. I'm losing
great
money.
Rates.
But we have a very, very great studio here, and all the people who are recording here are just the best folks. We got Hillary with Todd Massey, Bobby Buds. Please don't listen to that podcast. if you are offended by anything, or just don't listen to it in general. The Pussy Power podcast that just got done live streaming tonight with Day, Tiny Thickums, and Carmelita Jones. 3 comics who are fucking like up and coming comics who are absolutely hilarious. The Lobo Den podcast, the new OGs with Bobby Hill and Xavier Lamont. They're doing it remote now, but they're still going. They're here. They're every single Friday at 4 p.m. live on People of Comedy Network. You can see them talk about all of last week's events and some future stuff, including Marvel stuff. Joe, you should tune into them because they talk about Marvel shit all the time. God, I'm going to get so mad. Nobody Likes You with Dale McPeak tomorrow, 10 p.m. live on People of Comedy. With
Did you say
Casper.
Legal Aliens?
Legal Aliens.
I'm trying to think of other ones.
It's every other Monday. So next Monday, there'll be a new Legal Aliens live with Avi Sanchez and Jose ESL Gonzalez. Avi Sanchez, by the way, quick plug to him. He's headlining Zanies in Old Town on September 22nd. You need to get tickets for that. Go to Zanies, chicago.zanies.com for tickets. What the fuck else? That's How I Feel with Dwayne Murphy Jr., a.k.a. Danny Lime, a.k.a. Young Citrus, giving you that news fresh squeezed. Me and him
dude, we forgot to talk about you taking to the streets. So the People of Comedy Facebook page, we'll wrap it up here. We're almost at an hour and a half. I wanted to do an hour and a half tops. Okay. You have been taken to the streets where you guys have been following the protests. What could you tell, just to summarize real quick, because we could probably do a whole 2 hours about these protests and all that stuff. What, if you could summarize not summarize. Let me rephrase this.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell the general public listening to this podcast what they're not seeing on the news? Because we all know the news is showing one thing, but what is actually happening? Like, what is the news not showing? What is the news getting wrong?
You're missing the most important part. You're missing the message. Like the news needs to sell advertisement, so they need to have fire and yelling and flashy shit. And, you'll see the news if you go to a protest. They'll set up their little camera right here with their big fat 50-year-old cameraman that stands right there and does nothing for 2 minutes. And then they'll pack it into a truck and leave. They don't stay on the scene. They don't follow the energy. They don't follow the people. They don't listen to the actual message, which is justice and stop killing us. Us is, of course, Black Americans. So,
I was going to say James Webb's extended family, but yeah Black Americans.
Killing, Asians and white people. But no, like, you miss this message if you watch the news. And I understand not everyone has, 3 hours of a live stream to sit down and actually watch intently and listen to things. But you absolutely won't catch that watching clips on CNN, ABC, NBC, all that shit. So we go out to these peaceful marches. I have my own opinions on rioting and looting and all that I'm not going to disclose here, but we don't participate in that for sure. But we have seen it very rarely. We've seen it very rarely. I think a report just came out. 93% of the protests in America have been nothing but peaceful. 7% have been violent, and if you count breaking a window as violent, well, again, I'm not going to talk about my feelings on that, but it's overwhelming majority is about peace, restoration of liberty to the Black community. Stop killing them. Don't believe everything you hear on either side, left or
gotcha.
right.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Period. Were you at the one where in Chicago, for those of you listening across the world, the Columbus statue in downtown Chicago, people went there to try to tear it down?
Yeah.
And police seemed to already be there protecting it, or was it like a planned rally? We're going to rally at how did people know about it? That part was always, I missed that part, because in my head I'm like, were they just marching and then decided we're going to go to the fucking Columbus statue and tear it down? Which seems hard to do unless you have some kind of machinery, by the way. That was the joke. That's what people don't realize about these Confederate statues in the South. They're being torn down so easily. It's because they were put up so quickly and they were put up so cheaply.
Right.
People forget these Confederate statues in the South were put up during Jim Crow in the 50s and 60s when Black Americans in the South were asking for civil rights. They put them up to be like, hey, remember this shit? Like as an intimidation thing. These weren't put up in 1868 as in memory of people who died 3 years ago.
Bored into the ground. Some dude with fucking
a bunch of losers
run over there. And
exactly. So these were really cheap fucking statues, so they were easy to take down. But I think the Columbus one looked pretty sturdy.
Columbus was sturdy.
Were
That
people really throwing fireworks and stuff? And who were these people? Was it a lot of outside agitators, like suburban kids I heard that came in and fucked stuff
this is a
up?
long story, so if you want to save this for another one, we can.
All right, maybe that'll be a teaser for another one. Maybe I'll help you jump on. I kind of been.
I have some feelings about that day, and we were there on the scene, and I have some. I have some.
All right, we'll
feelings.
save that one then because I would love that to be a focal point, not something that we try to rush into the last 5 minutes of the podcast. All right, well, let me say this to everybody. Again, apologies for missing the last couple weeks of podcast, working on some other things. I will be back. The goal, I don't know if you knew this, James, I was doing 2 podcasts a week for a while. One kind of a fun hangout like this one, and then one where it's like more of an interview style. You know, like when I had Ryan Dempster from the Cubs on, when I had Cole Cabana on, I was asking him about some like, more interview style. But you and I know each other so long, it's kind of like, let's get silly and fuck around. And I did interview you a little bit too, about some stuff. So we'll get into James Webb becoming like almost an investigative journalist reporter type of thing. And like the People of Comedy page, because they go live all the time with these great podcasts, and they go live on the streets of Chicago trying to give you the real news. Yes. So everyone, where else could they follow you, James?
You can follow the People of Comedy on Instagram. That's at People of Comedy Network. We're facebook.com/People of Comedy. peopleofcomedy.com is coming soon, I promise.
You guys got a Patreon?
We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/People of Comedy. Thank you, Joe. I would have forgotten. And
my Patreon as well, everyone. Check it out.
Yes,
posted something new recently.
Go to Joe's. And then for the next at the end at 11:59 p.m. on 9/11, I am taking down our GoFundMe. People of Comedy has a GoFundMe. I did already, full disclosure, I already upgraded the studio completely, but I wanted to maybe offset some of that cost because everything I buy in here is completely and totally out of pocket. And with the funds that I get paid by the comics who use this space, everything goes back into the studio. So if you want to help us, the GoFundMe link is pinned to the top of the People Comedy Facebook page. And I believe it is in the bio of our Instagram. I'll change it if it's not. And then if you want to follow me, I'm at Aclysm, ACLYSM on Instagram. I post pictures of my dog and Photoshop stuff that I do sometimes. So
yeah, it's great. He's the meme king, everybody.
I am a meme lord.
Yes, you are. All right, James, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Everyone, this has been Joe Kilgallon's podcast, everyone, a.k.a. Kilgallon's Pub. You can check my website, joekilgallon.com. I do have some dates coming up in Chicago. I'll be at Laugh Factory next weekend and doing a bunch of other really cool local shows. If you want to check those out, support the podcast on patreon.com/Joe Kilgallon. And I will be with you guys soon. Check out the YouTube channel and follow me on TikTok. You guys are great. Thanks for checking us out, everyone. Cheers.